Good morning, everyone. It is Wednesday, November 17th, and this is Morning Market Movers, where we do live analysis for day trading and take a look at potential hotspots in the markets for today. I am Todd Rich with Nadex. With me from Keep Trading Simple is Brian Caprice. Before Brian and I jump into it and take a look at the markets and jump into the charts, I do need to share this disclaimer that trading involves risk and may not be appropriate for everyone, that any trading decisions you make are solely your responsibility and at your own risk. And this is an educational session. Please do not construe anything Brian or I say as a buy or sell recommendation. We are doing this for your education purposes. What are we looking at today? Well, number one, we are going to take a peek over at some of the FX trading in Europe. The UK had their inflation numbers, their CPI numbers, and of course, where the inflation's going up. It's getting worse. It came in higher than it was previously. The came in above forecasts. Inflation up at 4.2%, above both the forecast and a month ago when it was 3.1%. So year over year for October, even their core inflation is up. Everything is up. We're going to take a peek over at the euro pound, and we might even take a look at some other pairs there on how that's impacting, because we're clearly seeing pound strength. We're also seeing a bit of euro weakness. Then we're going to jump over and take a look at some of the action in the metals markets. It has been a bit of a hotspot. Gold and silver charts looking very similar after it's literally a week ago when we saw what was going on in the U.S. Inflation is here. It's bad. We saw gold and silver both spike a week ago. They've been a little bit in a range, but it's been a volatile range. So there are some opportunities. We're going to take a peek at gold and silver. And then lastly, we're going to jump over to oil, because there is the oil inventory report that's coming out in the U.S. later this morning. So we want to get you ready for that. In fact, I just dropped the link in there so you can follow that on the economic calendar. So with that, Brian, I'm going to flip it over to you. Let's talk about Europe. We'll go to metals, and then we'll take a look at oil and just see what we got for today.
So again, in a week of CPI releases, we mentioned yesterday that basically the pound was all but guaranteed to raise in December at its next meeting. Obviously, this CPI number year over year drives that fact home even more. Forecast was 3.9, came in at 4.2. Typically, the mandate and what people are shooting for is 2%. So it's over 2 times. It's a lot. Not something you want for your country. Like I said, it's kind of one of those things that they're at the stage. What's very interesting about the pound and seeing where the pound is at and with the raising interest rates is one of the things we haven't talked about for like the last 2 years has been the carry trade. And typically the carry trade used to exist with the pound versus the yen. So it's interesting that we're already starting to see the pound really kind of take off and then being one of the first ones. If you've been following the channel for a while, this is one of those things. I've been very, very pro pound. I thought Brexit was good for them. They got all that off the books. They were already kind of at a low when COVID hit. So I always felt like their recovery would be better and sustained kind of, and really before many other countries. Again, Ireland, they don't have all the contagion issues like the ECB has. And again, today we've seen, quite a bit of movement. It's all starting to we're seeing the profit taking absolutely come in right now. The pound yen minutes ago was up 70, and the euro pound was up about 68, something like that. So, you're seeing them retrace in the last really 5 to 15 minutes. And again, not so much retrace, but it's profit taking because the European traders want to get out of the market before the U.S. traders get in. There's no point in risking that profit. Huge
and then
number.
They can go home and call it a day.
Yeah, their day's done. I mean, they're 5 hours ahead. So, we're starting ours. They're almost ending theirs. They're at like the 2 o'clock time frame now for them. And then CPI came in for Canada. Very interestingly enough, it came in as expected, but it was a disappointment. Everybody expected the CPI in Canada, me included. I expected it to be a little bit higher, but it came in exactly as expected. So the market, it's funny. If you look at the dollar CAD chart, you're seeing it spike up right now because the forecast being a 0.7, everybody expected it to come in a 0.9, 1.0. And it's funny that even when it came in as what everybody told you it was going to do, there's a disappointment in the market. So pretty interesting, but I think some opportunity exists. Yesterday morning, we were here where the yellow circle was. If you guys are able to see it, we talked about a nice level of basing here and how we could use that. And we mentioned it's just a standard Harry Potter trade. If it drops bases, pulls back, that would be where we'd have that momentum continuation pattern coming through with targets down here at 84.06, and that's exactly what happened. And it was slow. I mean, it broke through it 1:30 in the afternoon. It spent all afternoon there, and it didn't spike back up until about 7:30, 8 o'clock last night. So, people that say that, oh, I work a full-time job, it's hard for me to trade. I mean, we gave it to you yesterday morning. You could have watched the broadcast anytime during the day, and it didn't trade and trigger until 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night. So super slow Harry Potter, pushed down, and now it's broke through. So, this trade is pretty much over, but there's other opportunities out there. Again, we're seeing pound strength come in, but the euro yen has a similar kind of setup right now with this Harry Potter. Don't see any great data, and again, there's really no speeches the rest of today as far as kind of what's going on with the euro. And again, the euro is weak across the board, down 65 versus the dollar, down versus the pound. Obviously, down versus the yen, although it's a little bit more sideways basing through. But why I like this area is because we had a base, we hit it, and we bounced. We hit it, we bounced. We broke through, showing us that we're clear. And then when it based again, it's kind of setting up for that same kind of philosophy. Same
Was
look.
it the fourth time it's gonna go?
Yeah. Yeah, and we have what's called a clearing wick coming down, so it's pretty open at least until the 129, 23-ish area. And again, we'd like to get that proper kind of basing just to confirm it. Again, I tend to like those the most. So, that's there. And then again, euro dollar is also confirming it. Euro dollar had that little basing area right here that was tested previously, and we just bounced off of it, and it's also driving down again. And again, with the same clearing wick. So either really the euro, the euro yen or the euro dollar both really pretty much have the same type of setup on that one. Again, in a trend following strategy, you're looking to get on the pullbacks. Everybody knows that, right? You buy on the pullbacks. Obviously you sell on the pullbacks as well if it's in a downtrend. So that's kind of what we're seeing over there for Europe. And like I said, we're seeing some profit taking come in right now. You're seeing kind of the euro bounce back again. We were shooting for the 155, didn't get up there. Pound dollar, it's a battle here. It's a battle. And again, it hit that level again. So we mentioned this yesterday, also a potential Harry Potter at 134.05. This is not an entry. A spike down and a spike back up again very fast is not an entry. So again, still valid. And again, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? And then the next time through is going to be number 5. So another one of those things that's on the setup. Keep it on your radar and watch it for later on the week.
All right, so let's jump over and take a peek at what's going on in metals quickly. Some of these, it's been an interesting week for gold and silver. I mean, it was literally a week ago where they each saw those big spikes when inflation started stepping into the metals. Let's take a look at what we got.
Yeah, yesterday we were sitting right around here. Now, these two red levels, these are kind of a higher time frame level in the past. And again, this is where we ended Friday and we gapped up again. And we're not taking any shorts off of that. We don't really have a short up until 1880. You can see it tried. It got up to 1877 and a quarter. It got pretty close before coming back down. But right now, we're still locked into kind of this channel right here, right? And it came down. It found some of the buyers, not the best buyers, but it worked. It was fine. And pulled back up to that same kind of area of interest level. Let me change this. I'll change it to yellow. So right now, gold's in an interesting spot. CPI is higher. You're seeing it. Obviously, the UK number helped. The Canadian number did not necessarily help it as much. But again, as we start to hear this, what's interesting about it is, again, it's another day we're up. We're up 0.6. Silver's falling a little bit more. And then again, it used to be that Bitcoin was the way for everybody to play inflation. It's up 0.17, where gold is up 5 times that amount, 4 times that amount. So
kind of interesting that some of that more traditional way to play the inflation is heating up a little bit more.
It's trickling in more. And again, it is a slower, again, if you're talking about inflation bonds, that story, that you're seeing it. But right now, as far as trade setups in gold, it's kind of a little bit harder because it's sitting right in the middle of the range. There's a little bit of selling going on right here, but that's a pretty aggressive short if you're looking to get into one. I think we wait till it gets to one of the two extremes. Silver, kind of doing the same thing. It looks the same. Now, yesterday, we missed silver, right? Just by like a little tiny bit. We were looking for 25.41. It got to 25.40. So I missed it by 1.3 pennies. I should have gotten that one because Canada doesn't even have pennies anymore. So I feel like with rounding, I should have got it. But you can see, guys, it came down, and then this was an area we were talking about maybe taking a bounce off of. But it has the 1, 2, 3, 4, and this hit kind of going through. The zone really doesn't exist anymore. We can turn it yellow as an area that price likes, but there's really not a whole lot there. So I would say for silver, we still kind of have the same kind of short, but again, it's going to take a lot for it to get down there. We're going to need it was right on 1 3. We're going to need somewhat of a negative number to kind of get down there inflation-wise.
Yeah, otherwise it is a bit in the middle, and I don't know if we're going to
Yeah.
break through the range. It'll be kind, there are strategies where you could, play if you think it's just going to stay range bound for a while.
Yeah, yeah. Unfortunately, its range is not. I mean, if it was really, really little, there would be viable strategies. But right now, unfortunately, it's kind of
The
going back
range,
and forth
it's
between.
making some moves.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, we're up 1% right now, so it's hard to say that it's flat.
it's
Yes, it's
not.
going in the
Yeah,
same range. I mean, it's not this, right?
correct.
It's more like this. What
Right.
it is obviously it's a well-defined channel, but right now, looking at top and bottom, two defined levels, we're kind of sitting right in the middle. So it's kind of hard. I mean, there'll be people that are like trying to grab fibs in here and looking at this like, oh wait, it's a 50. No, it's a 631.8. Like, you're gonna try
Yeah.
to grab everything. But I mean, how about this fake out? We hit the 50, we dropped down to that same level, and again, easy level of buyers. It went back up, blew through the 68, and now we're back at the 50 again. So see how this is why you need confirmation of fibs with a lot of things, because again, there's obvious buyers down here. So taking a short into an area of buyers is a no-no, and it did. It hit the buyers, went up, busted the next level, came back down again. We're in the same exact spot. So European session for silver trading has not been kind to the fib traders,
Nope.
but just something to kind of keep on your radar and watch out for.
All right, so let's go ahead then and take a peek for setups for the because we always love to talk about this news events. Oil's got their
Yeah,
inventory report in the U.S. today.
yeah.
Let's take a peek at what the charts look like and what, and that's at 10:30 this morning. So
Yeah, we're out of oil, but we had another surplus. Wasn't as big as what they thought. So again, no oil, but up, obviously. But 0.65 again, industry report. It may not be accurate. There's no repercussions if it's not accurate. But again, showing a forecast, it should have given a huge. You see a green number, you're like, oh, oil's going back up to 85. No, it really didn't do much. That report came out in here, drove it down a little bit. Really nothing in the overnight. European session took it down, kind of popped it back up again, and we're kind of closing a little bit lower right now. I wouldn't say that this is kind of a huge mover. We talk about the little big scenario. So I would say for the most part, I mean, this is kind of if you talk about where oil started and where it ended, it's more of a kind of a down. We know we got some buyers down here. So I would say that this is kind of setting up today. Right now, if I had to make a call right now, I have to say probably more of a long.
long, right?
Yeah, I mean, we know we have some buying coming in that area as well, and that's what we're bouncing off of. But, you know, talking about pre-news movement, again, 35 and 1, we can't really start looking at it till 10. So we are about an hour early, but with it driving down, not as bad as expected. What happens if we come in and it's, the oil number comes in and it's actually, I mean, it's supposed to be 1, right? What if this comes in as a slightly negative number? That's all the bulls need to be like, yeah, let's go. I told you, right? And again, we're at that 70, 80. So could we come up into the 81? I mean, could we take an easy bounce up into this level right here of sellers? Sure. I mean, if we drop just a little bit more before oil, that would be a 79.20 $1.50, which $1.60 is a standard move for an oil release. So I mean, I would say the way that it looks, I mean, at that 79 figure, I mean, nothing's slowing down. Target blew the earnings. What was it? It was Target,
Yeah, today it
Walmart.
was Target and Lowe's. Yesterday it was Walmart and Home Depot retail earnings. Target and Lowe's both blew out earnings and um, revenues. Lowe's stopgap higher. Target came out and said we're going to have our sales for Black Friday are going to be better than we anticipated. Our store shelves are all filled. They blew out earnings, they blew out revenues, and the stock gap lower.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
explain that one.
Well, a lot of it too, I would say, is probably the fact that when Walmart blew their numbers out, everybody expected the
Target to even do
Target to do
do
the thing.
better.
So everybody, no, it's not that. It's everybody assumed that it was going to be absolutely amazing. So everybody's like, as soon as it's good, I'm going to buy, and that's what's going to happen. Everyone's like, oh no, I'm going to buy. This is one of those kind of psychological games that large money really kind of plays with you. And it happened. I mean, the pound's the same thing. The exact same thing just happened with the pound, right? Great CPI came in. And what did the pound do? Right here. This is where CPI came in, guys. The 2 o'clock candles right here. It dropped straight down. And you're like, wait a second. It should do the exact opposite.
Right.
No. It's doing it because you know that it's supposed to go up. Same thing. Great earnings. You buy it. It goes down. It's the same thing, right? Somebody's got to be dumb enough to sell it to you. I say dumb enough. I mean, they know what they're
Right.
doing. And then price goes down, you're like, oh my God, I made the bad call, and you get out. So what did they just do? They got it for a cheaper price than you were able to get it for, and then it goes exactly where you thought it was going to go to. And you're like, this is why I shouldn't use
Yeah,
stop
they
losses.
got you. They got you.
Yeah,
So, yeah, we'll see.
I'm
And
the same thinking. Yep.
so we'll see if what they do. Yeah, we'll
Yeah,
see if they do that with oil today.
yeah, and that's oil and natural gas. Talk about a volatile market. Again, another little fake out here at the 50%. We drew the 50 yesterday on there.
Yeah.
Yesterday, 6%. Now we're down 3.3% again. So talk about a volatile market. Natural gas is it. And natural gas has an inventory tomorrow. Again, pulling it up, you can see that it literally it based right above, which is really a telltale sign not to go long, not to reverse it. And it hit the level that we drew, kind of popped a little bit. Everybody's like, yeah! And then
And
now
then
we're down to 61.8. So
we'll cover
again,
that
this is
when it. Oops,
what?
sorry, go on.
Oh no, I
Sorry.
was just gonna say this is why you guys gotta be careful, Being a
Yeah.
contrarian trader versus a trend trader, there are times when you use it, times when you're not, but you got to know where the hiccups and
Yeah.
speed bumps are. This one had
Where
all the
those
signs.
traps are. Right. Right.
Yeah,
Right. Right. And we'll definitely cover that again tomorrow before we
yeah,
when we get here tomorrow morning and take a look at the potential setups for tomorrow with that coming out. So with that, any questions for Nadex, please email us customerservice@nadex.com. If you've got any questions for Brian, you can certainly email him at support@keeptradingsimple.com. We will be back tomorrow morning. What did we cover today? Interesting news with the way things were moving around with FX in Europe, with inflation in the UK. Even though Europe's inflation came right in line, in the UK, they the inflation came in higher than both expectations and from last month. Some trade setups and some interesting things to look at in the metals. I mean, that plays into the whole interest rate and the inflation play. And then a setup for oil this morning. Remember, 10:30 this morning, we've got that oil inventory report. Brian L will be back tomorrow. Thank you for joining us, and good luck in the markets, everyone.